so we're going to talk about ethical issues in research. So, three main ideas of ethics in research that we're going to cover today are respect for persons as autonomous agents, beneficence, I've never figured out how to say that word, and justice. So, respect for person. So that means the individual should be treated as an autonomous agent. Um, to treat one as autonomous means to respect their ability to deliberate or weigh their personal goals, and also their ability to self-determine their actions. So there are two requirements that have to be met in order to say that you have respect for the person in your study. So the first thing that is required is informed consent. In order for individuals to make decisions, they must understand all procedures, including risks and benefits. Informed. So, and then it must also be 100% voluntary. This is a process guiding the whole research process, but it is typically accomplished through administration of an informed consent letter. So, there should be no coercion in trying to get somebody to participate in a study. And there should be no harm in the person refusing to be in the study. So requirement 2. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give an example of this. For example, sometimes you will want to study a certain topic, and maybe you have a family member that fits what you're wanting to study. They're in the population you're wanting to study. If you ask them to be in your study, you should make it extremely clear that it will not impact your relationship with them if they decide to not be in the study. So 100% voluntary, no coercion. The second requirement in order to meet the respect for persons principle is that individuals with diminished autonomy must be protected. So examples of diminished autonomy are prisoners, pregnant women and fetuses, children, terminally ill, individuals with cognitive abilities, and individuals with mental illness. There are probably many other populations, but these are examples. Sometimes when you try and go get IRB approval for a study, it takes a little bit more effort because perhaps you're studying one of these very vulnerable populations. I know with like children, you sometimes have to get multiple levels of consent, like consent from the school, consent from the parents, assent from the children. They call it assent for children. It's a little bit different than consent because they don't believe that children are fully capable of consenting to something, but they will allow for assent if it is shown that the children are protected. So the second principle, so we talked about respect for persons. The second principle we're going to talk about is beneficence, if that's even how you say it. Beneficence, I don't know. So this is the idea that you don't want to do harm and you want to maximize the benefits and minimize the risks. So risk, that's the probability of harm or injury. Benefit, valued or desired outcome. So when they say minimal risks, the probability of harm or discomfort should not be greater than those ordinarily encountered during routine physical or psychological exam. So harm should not be extraordinary in your study. They should be minimized. Now, a lot of times with studies, there is a tiny bit of harm, but as researchers, we try to minimize that as much as possible. So, for example, a common harm that is listed is perhaps unpleasant emotions or distress about talking about a certain topic or addressing a certain topic. So that would be considered a harm. It is not um, an extremely large one comparative to what could be done to a person in a study, but it is still a very, very important concern that IRBs try to take into account. And oftentimes they will allow studies where there's a little bit of psychological distress happening, they'll allow for them, but so long as the researcher follows respect for persons and informs them of this potential risk, then it is okay. But as I said, they try to minimize those risks. So justice. This is the idea that benefits and burdens of research are fairly distributed across individuals in the population, and the study does not pick on one group or population. So let's take these two things separately. Are the benefits and burdens of research fairly distributed across individuals in the population? So this would be, for example, if you had a study and you broke it into two groups and you gave a treatment to the treatment group but nothing to the control group. But you found that the treatment improved mental health. Justice would say that after the study is performed, you should offer the same treatment to those who were in the controls so that the benefits are fairly distributed to those in the study. And then, does the research benefit or pick on one group or population? So, and we have to be careful when I say pick on. It's okay to have a certain population in mind that you study, a specific population in mind that you study. For example, it's okay to say you want to study, you have OCD, or you want to study people who experience same-sex attraction. It's okay to have these ideas in your head of what population you want to study and carry those out. However, you should not go and pick on a specific population just because it's easy to take advantage of them. And it, for example, there was the study, the Tuskegee study. They were studying syphilis in people, but they decided to study it in poor rural black people, black men. And there were some pretty significant harms from this study, but they were able to get away with it because the people who were in the study were easy to take advantage of. So that's what I mean by picking on a population. It's okay to have a specific population in mind that you want to study, but it's not okay to just take advantage of a specific population because it's what's convenient. Okay, that's the end.